Hello artists and welcome to Fiber Art Level C. Let's get started. So in front of me here I've got my sketchbook. I'm going to label it with a Fiber Art, a Level C, and let's see what our learning goals are today. So it says I can set up a popsicle stick loom. I can weave using a wrapping technique, and I can finish off. Okay, so here's what we're going to need today. We are going to need two popsicle sticks that have already been glued together, and then we're going to need a couple pieces of tape, and we're going to need some yarn as well. Now, my sketchbook can be a place where maybe I write down the yarn colors if I want. Just to remember, I'm going to need about 2 to 3 colors of yarn, so I can write those down if I choose. But this will also help me to store my popsicle stick loom for when I have to stop working on it. Okay, we're going to do some movie magic to get over to the yarn station so I can teach you how to cut some yarn. All right, so here we are at the yarn area, and you'll notice I have all the yarn in these Jaffa blocks. The tails are all kind of hanging out here so that you know which color is where. And it's important that the tails still hang out by the time you're done cutting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some yarn here, and I'm going to pull on it, and I want about an arm length of yarn. So let me move around the camera here so that I can show you kind of what that looks like. All right, let's see if I can flip us around here. There we go. All right, so here we go. And now when I'm grabbing my yarn, I'm going to take it and I'm going to go from my fingertips to my shoulder. So here's what this looks like. I take it and I go to my arm length right here. Now I can let go of my fingertips. Okay, this is about how much I want. And remember, I'm going to keep it so that if I go over here, this tail is still hanging. So I'm going to take the scissors that are on here, and I'm going to take where my finger has been holding my arm length. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. And then I want you to notice how the yarn is still, the tail is still outside the Jaffa block here. That will help it so that the next person can find the yarn. So more movie magic over to back where we're working. All right, so I've got my popsicle stick. I've got one piece of yarn. Now I can go back for more yarn later, but for now I just want one so that I can share with the other people around me. And now I need to label my popsicle sticks. Now I'm gonna want to go in number order in a circle. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will help me keep track of where I'm going with my yarn. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and hide my yarn. I'm going to flip it over, take my tape, and I'm going to tape it to this. My tape will be hidden later at the end when I'm done wrapping. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it back over so I can see my numbers. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start. I'm going to start. It doesn't really matter what number you start on. You just have to remember that you're going in number order. Okay, so the technique here is that I'm going to go around and over. Okay, and then I'm going to come over to the next side. So I'm actually going to come one over here to the number 1. I think that will be easier to start. I might have to problem solve this a couple times to see where I start. So I'm going to go around number 1. Now move it to number 2. And I'm going to go under, not over top, not over top. I'm going to go under it and come around and over. And I need to keep the yarn taut when I'm working with it. So I need to make sure I'm kind of giving it a little bit of tension so that it's not super loose. And then again, over to number 3, I like to turn it as I go around and over to number 4, around and over. And again, when I go around again, I got to stay in number order. So 1, around and over, and then number 2, around and over. Notice again, I'm not going over top. This is incorrect. I need to go around and over. Okay, now I want you to also notice how close I am. Look at how close those two pieces of yarn are to each other. I'm not leaving any spaces. Around and over, around and over. around and over. So it's going to make this box pattern as I keep going around and over, and it'll get bigger. I do need to make sure that these are right next to each other. Around and over. And here's what the front looks like so far. See, that piece of tape is hidden. You can't see it anymore. Okay, around and over, around and over, around and over. I'm going to do a little bit of movie magic to get us to the next spot so I can show you how to attach the yarn. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show you how to tie a knot. And the key is here you want to go right over left, left over right. In simplest terms, we're making what is called a slip knot. So this is my right piece of yarn. It's on my right side, and it's yellow. So whichever one, and see how I have a long enough tail. I want to make sure I have a long enough tail so that it's easier to tie. So I'm going to make an X to start. And I'm going to zoom in, I think, just a little bit. Here we go. That way you can see it a little better. I'm going to go over and around, kind of like I would my shoe. Just like that. And then my left, so right over left, and then left over right. So now my yellow one is in my left hand. It's in my left hand. So now I have to put it over top the purple one. So I have yellow on top again. So yellow was on top in the first place, and now it's on top again. And now I go through the hole. There's that hole. I loop it under and go through the hole. Then when I pull it, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to slip. And then I can take my scissors and I can trim down these little edges. And now I'm ready to go ahead and keep going around in my pattern. And I want to make sure I'm not getting confused. Make sure that you know where you ended and then where you're going to start again. Now this knot is going to hide itself, okay? This knot will hide itself. So I'm going to keep going around. I'm going to keep going around, and I'm going to go until I get most of the way to the end of the popsicle stick. I'm going to get really close to the numbers. Okay, so I'm going to do some movie magic again to get a little farther. Okay, so I've got enough room for another piece of yarn here. So again, right over left. So my right one is purple now. It goes on top. I loop so that the two are kind of looped together. Now my purple one goes on top again, left over right, goes on top again. I've got a hole. My purple has to go around and through the hole. This is probably the hardest part, so give yourself lots of grace when you're tying this and know that you can always try again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clip these ends, and then I'm going to go back to my wrapping technique. There it is. And here we go. I'm on 2, go around and over, 3, around and over. Again, that knot's going to hide itself. And I'm going to do some more movie magic so that I can show you how to finish this off. All right, so I've gotten here to the end, and I've wrapped it around 4. I'm going around 1, and then here's all I do to finish it off, okay? I'm just going to wrap it one more time around. It's almost like a double wrap on the last one. That way I have enough to get this to the middle. This needs to go to the middle so I can tape it into place. I don't want to pull too hard because, again, I want it to look like we're just wrapping and just stopping. Okay, so I got my little piece of tape, and I'm going to go ahead and tape it in the middle. There we go. And there it is. You have learned how to wrap in a square around a popsicle stick. Happy creating!